In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use the unused portion of a sticker paper that you've cut off from a previous job like this right here, and how to use it in your printer still and not waste any of your sticker paper. Stay tuned. Have you ever made a handful of stickers that you've cut out with just a small section of your sticker paper, but then you have a bunch of it left over that you don't want to throw away? You can still use the leftover paper by using just a piece of paper, like regular printer paper, and you're going to line it up to the copy paper, and you're going to tape the edges down, just barely touching the paper, and fold it over and do the same thing on the bottom. I've done this one here already. So just a tiny bit of tape will allow you to feed this, because it has a whole piece of paper now to feed through the printer, and it won't get caught or jammed up on these where they have a bunch of these little uneven edges where potentially the rollers could eat it up. And then if you have some that actually still have some of the reading lines for the Cricut, I actually cover them up with white tape. That way, if the printer comes down farther with those lines on the next one for this new sheet, it will actually print right over it, and they'll be my new guidelines. So let's go ahead and we're going to put this into the printer, and I'll show you how it turns out. Okay, so I just printed these out. You can see that it worked perfectly. I've got this piece of paper underneath, and then I have all of my reading lines on the printer paper, the sticker paper. And even if these lines came off onto the actual copy paper, that's okay too. It'll still read the lines, and if it doesn't, I use a Posca marker or any kind of acrylic paint pen. You could use other ones as long as it sticks to the paper. I have a little bit of a glossy laminate right here, so it didn't stick. That's why I like using the paint pens, because I can fill that in and it'll make those new lines perfect. But once you have this all printed, all you have to do is take this off. I just use a scrap piece of paper. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just take off the excess tape that might be hanging around. This here. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill in these little areas right here. I know it's kind of hard to see. Right here, there's a little area, and right over here, there's a little area. So I'm going to fill that in and just make it solid. And if it's a little off, that's not the end of the world. I found that the Cricut's actually pretty good at reading those. So I'll let that dry a little bit, and then you just do the same thing. Make sure you have the top at the top of the mat, and how you fed it into your printer would be the same direction. And you don't have to have a whole sheet of paper to read the lines. All you have to have is these black margin lines for the reader. So I'm just going to press this down, and then I need to get my laminate on top. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my laminate, and we're going to go ahead and line up the laminate. We're going to cut it right about here. Actually, you know what? We're going to do this the other way. I want to preserve as much of this as I can. So let's go this direction. I'm going to go here. I cut off this end. Right about here. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to fold this over and create a little border for me to grab. I'm just going to push this down, make an edge. Sorry, I'm losing my light. This is horrible lighting. Okay, so we're going to line this up right up against that edge, but I'm trying not to cover it because it's just a little wet. This side's not too bad. Okay, and then we're going to take our ruler and we're going to push this forward. There we go. Get it started. We're just going to give this a push all the way down. Okay, and then we're going to scrape it and get it completely pushed down. And then we'll put it through the Cricut and get it cut. All right, let's see what happens. All right, you can see this looks like it cut out perfectly. And I forgot to mention earlier, when I cover these sensor marks with the white tape, I actually use tape from old cut sticker paper. See all these little edges here that don't have any of the laminate on it? That whole edge I cut off in a strip, and I cut them off just so they fit right over the sensor marks to make a whole new cover for it. So it looks like these turned out great. No problems with reusing an extra piece of printer paper. And I'm just going to pop these all off. Little trick is to roll the mat a little bit to help lift up the edges of the stickers, and they pop off much easier. But this is how I use a little scrap piece of sticker paper and not waste anything, because sometimes you just have a small little job that you want to do and not really fill a whole sheet of paper. So don't ever throw them away. You can always reuse them. I've used even ones half that size, and you just have to make sure you know how big your space is you're using before you go and print it. And I kind of check that on Design Space and making sure that the size will match what I have in the actual size of paper. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.